right, welcome back to another episode of Bet GPT. We are checking in here. It is episode 35, and Slade has a special announcement to make for the YouTube viewers.
Guys, I finally set up the ring light. It's got all these different buttons. I can change the color. I can change how bright it is. It can rotate, all that fun stuff. I'm really excited about it. Shout out my mom.
Shout out Jan. We have a full Hollywood production going right here. So, if Slade's too good looking for your eyes, please just tune into the pod because you're here for the content, not for if you want to look at him, just go to his Instagram. But all right, we've had it's been 6 days since our last pod. I've been stuck working the night shift, but luckily it's Thursday right now. Thursday night. And
have you told people you're a security guard? That's your full-time gig.
Yeah, so I've been with Permar for about 12 years now. Yeah, it's a really rewarding profession. So, but yeah, thank you for your patience, everybody. Our last episode, we gave out a 6-pack and we lost a 2-unit play. We lost Ohio State, Michigan. I don't think Ohio State was the wrong side, though.
I don't regret it.
I think that was a 50-50 game. We got Ohio State at plus 145. Hats off to Michigan. They got it done. I'm crying Ryan. He's going to have to wait another full year to get a rematch in that one.
Unless the playoff, it's still possible. You outlined a path today. A Texas loss, a Florida State loss, a Georgia win, and I think Washington win. And I think Ohio State would get in at that point.
Yeah, we can talk some scenarios towards the end here because we have championship or title games this weekend, championship weekend in college football, and then we have obviously another week at NFL. So just let me roll through the rest of our 6-pack. We lost Bama minus 14.5. We can talk about that game. They were lucky to win that one. 6-point teaser on Thanksgiving. What a horrible start. The Lions just got destroyed by the Packers. I don't have a lot to say, but I don't know how that missed. I feel like the majority of the people were on the Lions, so we were all losers there. Jags Texans over 48.5. We missed a field goal as time expired. There were drop touchdowns. That was a disaster. So that was a loss as well. Did we win a bet? Yeah, we won Clemson minus 7. Shout out Dabo. He got his first person in the transfer portal.
Or he offered his first person in the transfer.
Yeah, we might need to keep betting them. And then our pending bets: Brock Purdy MVP, which is big with the Eagles game impending this weekend or coming up this weekend, and then Georgia national title. So
wait, we bet the Iowa under, didn't we?
Yes, we did. I forgot to put it on the 6-pack.
I was gonna say we won that one.
What was that? It was Iowa.
It was 24.5. And
I don't even remember who they played. Nebraska.
Yeah.
Oh no, there it is. It's under. We got it under 26. That was at the very top. Sorry,
okay.
We did win that. We did win that. So yeah, we 2 wins, 4 losses. We are up 14.02 units now, so a little bit down from where we were. Slade, you're up 9.96 units, and I'm up 4.06, I believe. So shout out to you for keeping the boat afloat here. All right. Do you want to start with yours, or do you want me to go?
I'll just go. I've got 3 minus 110 plays, 3 straights, all college football, all conference championships. We're staying with the old reliable, the Iowa Michigan under 35.
There's only this and one more opportunity to do it.
Exactly.
So get it while you can. All right. What is it? Under
35.
What? All right.
Iowa is a 22-point dog in the game. Their total specifically is 6.5. It was a 23.5 point spread, so there has been money going Iowa's way. But I guess ultimately, I don't see Iowa scoring many points. And then Michigan, they don't really have any incentive to run up the score, them or Georgia. They both have they both are in with a win. So I think it's very possible that you just see Michigan get up 2-3 scores and then sit on the football. Um, I mean, we've seen them go a whole half without throwing the ball once. So I don't think that's unrealistic that they get it. They get a lead, they sit on the ball, they try to stay healthy. They just lost their best offensive lineman. They're missing both starters on the right side of their offensive line. I think for them, it's just win, stay healthy, and worry about the playoff. So
So what, you think this is going to be like a 28-3 sort of game?
yeah, like I just think that I think they're gonna win. It's just I think you can. I mean, I think the pace for both teams is going to be really slow as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got Iowa, Michigan under 35 as the first play. What's next?
Yep. And then I'm going with an over in the SEC title game. Historically, that game has been an over. It's over 54.5. It was at 55, so it's down a half point. The thing about Alabama and Georgia is they're both kind of known for their defenses, but I think this is a year where both teams are carried maybe by their offenses. I know Bama's defensive metrics have looked good this year outside of two games, LSU and Texas. But I think you could also make a point. Those are the only two quote unquote good offenses they've faced. And Georgia will probably be the best of the three. So I think Bama will give up points. I trust your boy Milrow to score some points. Georgia's
Did you see
defense,
him
what?
after the game?
Yeah.
He's like, "Give me the Heisman."
Yeah. Yeah. Give him the Heisman. Yeah. He's not even going to make it to New York. But I think Georgia's defense isn't the defense of like the Roquan Smith teams or even the last like couple years. This is really an offense first team with a good defense, just not like a top five. It's still top 15, but it's just not top five. I think Bama was going to be able to score points. And I think both teams, Bama's known for taking these deep shots. Milrow's best throw is the deep ball. Maybe you get a shot or two on a big play. I just like over 54.5. I mean, that's like what both teams just need to score upper 20s. I think that's pretty realistic. Both teams are going
I
over that
I'm
number every week.
Yeah, I don't want to argue your handicap at all because I agree. I think this is going over, but I do want to ask: are you at all concerned that at Barstool Big Cat on Twitter made this his game of the year, the over?
Oh, really? Oh, then
Yeah,
yeah, I'm nervous. Oh God, we're cursed
yeah,
now.
yeah. So that'll be funny. But okay, so we got over 54.5 for that one, and then last.
So during the Bama Auburn game last week, it was not going well for Bama. Obviously, it looked like they were going to lose until they completed that 4th and 31 pass. I bet the SEC title game during that game because the odds were up. I got it at Georgia -4. It then went up to Georgia -6. I got it today at Georgia -5. So kind of in the middle. Well, I got it at 4, but I doubled down at 5. And the listeners, you guys are going to have to get it at 5 if you can. So Georgia -5 feels like a good number. Bama has struggled with Texas. They struggled with LSU. They struggled with Tennessee. I really just think Georgia's on a different level playing field, and this is like the first time in like 3 years where Georgia has actually needed to win this game in order to make the playoff. The last few years, they probably could have not even played, gotten their ass beat, and they were still in the top 4 this year. I think you can make a case that they have to be undefeated to get in the playoff. Just it'd be interesting to see what happens with Georgia if they do lose. But Georgia -5 feels like good value to me.
Yeah, I'm still struggling with Georgia if they lose not making the playoff because I still think they're a top 4 team. They're playing Bama with Nick Saban. Like they could easily lose this game. They lost this game in the SEC championship 2 years ago, and then they destroyed Bama like 4 weeks
Yeah,
later or whatever.
I
So
completely agree. Georgia's a top 4 team regardless of what happens on Saturday. That's my opinion. If they don't,
yeah,
if I would be fine with both teams making the playoff unless Bama just gets absolutely boat raced. But I don't think that will. If Georgia does boat race, Bama's not in. I think if Bama
yeah,
loses, they're not in. What will be
yeah,
interesting is what happens if Bama wins and some of the other games, make things interesting. But I don't know. We can get to some other plays I have. I just think that the conference championship games are really hard to find value. I mean, you have 12 weeks of evidence of who a team is now, and you're playing good opponents, and both teams have been scouted so well at this point. Like, it's hard to find that value you could find early in the season.
Yeah.
And there's just
Yeah,
less
I
games.
agree.
There's like what, 6 games that we all are even going to be paying attention to, maybe 5.
Hmm.
So
This one, I just want to quickly mention this. This is actually I'll just save it for I'll save it for a college football segment. I want to talk about the Liberty New Mexico State game.
okay.
But all right, so for my 6-pack plays, I'm going all NFL here. The first one, I'm doing Niners -2.5. It's at -118 on FanDuel right now. Hopefully, you can get it at 2.5. I know there's a lot of threes out there, but you should be able to get it at 2.5. I every it's I don't act I like every week I want to bet against the Eagles. I've only done it once against the Cowboys, and I ended up losing a few weeks ago. I'm still not sold on them. They just squeak by every single team. If Ron Rivera would have went for it and went for 2 instead of going to OT, the Commanders could have beat them a few weeks ago. They should have lost to the Cowboys. They could have lost in overtime to the Bills. They had to kick a 59-yard field goal. Like this cannot keep happening. Okay, they're 9-1. Nick Sirianni's done a great job, but they're playing the Niners, who are fully healthy. Brock Purdy is about to start his MVP tear and win this game. Jalen Hurts, I still think he's hurt. You know, I love Jalen Hurts. I'll text you his highlights all day. I still think he's hurt. And I just don't think it's enough to beat this Niners team. So I'm taking Niners -2.5. I'm not sure how you feel about that game.
The Eagles have given up the same number of touchdowns this year as the Bears. I think they've given up like second or third most in the whole NFL. So you're right that they've been playing with fire. To have that kind of a defense and be 9-1 kind of feels a little fluky. I don't know. It is crazy though how they seem to just figure it out at the end of games. So I think that's probably the right play. 2.5 is a good number. I mean, it's basically a pick 'em in my eyes. So, yeah. And where's that game at?
It's at the Niners, I think.
Because I just feel like the only time I'm confident betting Philly this year has been when they're at home and it's a night game.
Oh, forget it. It is at Philly, and it's a late afternoon game. 4:45 at
I'm
Philly.
probably staying away. I don't hate your play.
Okay.
I just don't love it enough to play it.
Sounds like you kind of hate it, but that's fine. Okay.
I
No
wouldn't take
biggie.
the other
I'll
side of
remember
it
that.
if that makes you feel any better.
It's a stay away for you.
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. All right. Here's something we can all rally around. Don't we all want to bet on the LA Rams? Don't we just wake up every Sunday and like we're betting on the freaking Rams
Dude, I
today?
have a Rams 6.5 win under future from the summer.
I think that's going to go over because
Yeah, I think so too.
it's going to align with a few of my bets. So let me just pull up the NFC playoff picture here real quick. We have, I mean, it's kind of obvious who the top teams are with the Eagles and the Niners. But this, my two 6-pack plays align with each other. So it's going to be the first play is Rams to make the playoffs at +225. They're currently the 9 seed right now, and there's basically 2 wild card spots up for grabs. So Cowboys are probably going to get the wild card unless they catch up with the Eagles. One of those teams is in no matter what. So the 6, 7 spots available. We have the Seahawks and the Vikings. We all just watched the Vikings on Monday night. Josh Dobbs is not good, even though Nicholas Bear is ordering his autographed jersey as we speak. So I'm not bought in with the Vikings. The Rams' biggest competition are the Green Bay Packers, which I don't know. You're giving me +225 to beat out the Packers. Come on.
Okay.
And then the Seahawks, who are the 6th seed. But let me tell you the Seahawks' remaining schedule: at Cowboys, at Niners, Eagles at home, LLL. Then they have Seahawks, Steelers, Cardinals. Titans,
So
Steelers,
I
Cardinals.
texted you guys in our group chat like a week and a half ago, and I said the Packers are making the playoffs. and then they went and they beat the Lions. I think they actually have a chance. I don't hate it as a Bears fan. It's like, okay, make the playoffs. Every game you win, you're losing draft position, and your team isn't actually competing for anything. But looking at the Rams' schedule, obviously they're favored against your Browns this weekend. You'll be in attendance, right?
Yeah, I will be boots on the ground. I'll be
Okay.
there.
Then they play the Rams. Do you think it's possible you could get this? Will this line be available on December 10th? Because they play the Rams on the 10th in Baltimore. If they lose that game, don't you think you could get better value? And then, I mean, I know they'll still have the Commanders, Saints, and Giants on the schedule. But if you think they're going to lose one of their next two games and you still believe in the Rams, you might be able to get them at a better number.
You're saying they're because the Rams
And
play the
and
Ravens
they play
next
the
week.
49ers the last week of the year. What if the 49ers have everything locked up and nothing to play for?
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely possible. Um, I so I let me just say my third play. It's Rams alt line -6.5 against the Browns this week.
How
So
much
I hate to
juice?
bet against the Browns. I'm going to the game. It's at +144
Okay.
at -6.5. Um, the Browns are going to start Joe Flacco, who just spent the first 10 weeks at home, probably playing catch in the backyard with his kids. He got benched last year for Mike White. He can't move in the pocket. The Browns' O line has been okay. It hasn't been elite. He has no one to throw to. Amari Cooper's banged up. I think he's going to play, but Cedric Tillman and Elijah Moore is top two wide receivers, if not. David Njoku's hurt. He's probably going to play, though. They have 16 people on the injury report. Going up against a team that just played well last week. Cooper Kupp, full practice yesterday and today. They're motivated to win. I don't see this going well for the Browns, which sucks because I'm going to be there. But I don't understand how the Rams are only 3.5-point favorites. I think it should be closer to a touchdown, so I'm going to bet the touchdown and I'm going to take the +144
Well,
here.
our book doesn't have an alternate lineup for this game, or my book at least. So I'm kind of SOL. I was about to do my first bet on the pod in real time because I was going to follow you on that one. Maybe I'll just do the Rams -3.5 for now, and then I'll wait till probably tomorrow. I'm guessing the alt lines will be out because they have the alt lines out for tonight's game with
Yeah,
Seattle.
they come out later.
So
Yeah.
I'll just sprinkle a
So
little bit now, and I'll come back later for the juice. But
because right now the Rams are -3.5.
what's the
That's
difference between
gross.
3.5 and 6.5? Yeah, it's not a whole lot.
Yeah. So yeah, just give me the +144. I think they win by a touchdown. Also, Myles Garrett is a little banged up when you have a 50-75% Myles Garrett. I mean, that's not Myles Garrett. That's just a really good edge defender. So you don't have to like chip him with your tight end or anything. You can just block him straight up. I don't know. So those are my plays. A little juicy here. So like I said, I got Rams alt line -6.5 +144, and then the Rams to make the playoffs as well to +225. So all in on the Rams right now. What could possibly go wrong?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so to round it off, those three plays for me, and then you have Georgia -5, Bama, Georgia over 54.5, and the Niners, or excuse me, I have the Niners -2.5,
Yeah.
and you have Iowa, Michigan under
So
35.
I just
Real
realized we
audible.
became kind of a Georgia centric pod, or at least I did. I have two Georgia plays, and then I also have the Georgia national title feature that we put in last
Yeah.
week at what +225. I think that's down to like +200.
Yeah, we have it at +230, so good value there. And then same with our, we have Oregon to win the national title at 28-1 for a quarter unit. They're down to, I think, 4-1, something like
Yeah.
that.
They're 10-point favorite against Washington for the Pac-12 title game. Obviously, that was their one loss by 3 points at Washington a couple months back. There is some speculation that Michael Penix maybe isn't healthy and hasn't been healthy the last few weeks. So I think that's part of the reason that number is so big. It's hard to go from losing by 3 to being a 10-point favorite. I know there's a neutral site component now, but
Yeah.
if I had to pick a side, I would take Oregon minus. It's been 9.5, and now it's 10. So I don't love 10, but if it were 9.5, um, I don't know. I'd go on it a little bit, but I wouldn't go crazy. I just think that's still a lot of points, and I know Washington probably feels a little slighted that they've been getting basically treated like an afterthought, despite being 12-0 and already beating one of the teams that everyone has penciled in.
Yeah, let's just keep talking. Let's just keep talking. Let's do college football first, so we can break down each of the games
And
here.
also, I think
Um,
the other reason I kind of like Oregon -10 is
yeah,
it ties into my Bo Nix future. I know I don't have it technically in our six pack, but we have talked about it. I have Bo Nix for the Heisman. They have an incentive to run up the score and score a lot of points. Like I said, Michigan and Georgia really don't. They don't have many awards they're playing for. They have a spot if they win. There's no style points for them. But Oregon, I think they might feel like, hey, we can get Bo Nix a Heisman winner with a big performance or a big offensive outburst. So like maybe they keep their foot on the gas late.
so the over under for that game is 65.5. I think. I mean, I don't see why Washington can't get 3 touchdowns. Maybe 4, 28, like a 42-28 type of game. I could definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I like a lot of the overs. Obviously, I already have the SEC title game over. I I would lean over in the Pac-12 title game, but I haven't played it. And then the ACC title game, Florida State Louisville is like 47, which is like I know Florida State has their backup quarterback. Obviously, if it's Jordan Travis, that number's in the 50s. 47 is like a Big Ten West line, not involving Iowa. Like an Illinois Wisconsin line is going to be around 47 points. Um,
Yeah.
that game is here in Charlotte. I was boots on the ground today. I saw them setting up. There's a lot of fans already in the area. They've got like their little street fest and all of that stuff going on. Florida State's like a 1.5 to 2.5 point favorite, depending on the day and the book. Um, I think Louisville is going to score points, so I'm kind of surprised it's that low because you have Jeff Brom. Uh, Louisville this year has been a good offense. I think Jake Plummer is their quarterback, and um, I know Florida. I know everyone's gonna say Florida State looked like shit last week against Florida. I understand that the whole backup quarterback thing. Um, I just still think 47 is not asking a lot. It's like 28-21 is a win for the over.
Yeah, I just don't know enough about Louisville, I
No,
guess, to make
they gave up
to
38
make
last
make
week to Kentucky, who is not an explosive offense. There was a special team score in there, but still.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's everybody, unless you're a Florida State fan, please
I was
root
gonna say,
against
are
them.
you
No
gonna
one
put an
wants to see them in the
emotional hedge
playoff.
in on Florida State? Because I did.
Probably just yeah. I just know what's gonna happen is if Florida State wins, they're gonna go to the playoff. They're gonna lose by like 30, which is fine because we'll just bet the other team, I guess. But like for viewing purposes, you're not gonna want to watch the second half of that game. It's not gonna be
Yeah,
fun.
there's six good teams, and then there's one other undefeated team, and that seventh team is Louisville, or the seventh team is Florida State. Like, I don't want to watch them, but I think if they win, they deserve to get in because you're setting a bad precedent. It won't matter anymore with going forward with the 12-team playoff, but I am going to put some money on Florida State just because I want them to lose, and it's like if I have to watch Florida State in the playoff, um, at least I want to make some money. So. I'll be happy to lose money if it means Florida State is not in the top four.
This is a pretty good segue into the Big Ten title game. I think Iowa could beat Florida State. I'm being dead
I
serious.
don't I don't
I'm not
disagree.
afraid of Florida State. Yeah. However, I do not think they're going to beat Michigan. I think this is going to be a complete beatdown. They need to keep it close in the first half. They need a defensive score. They need like a strip sack deep in territory. You have to get touchdowns on your red zone drives. No Deacon Hill slant that's thrown at 180 miles an hour into the ground. We can't. You have to score. You have to make the most of your opportunities. There's such little room for error, and this team hasn't operated that way all year.
There's a
So I
couple
don't know why
different
that's
game
going to change.
scripts that I could see this going, and I think the worst case scenario for Iowa is they just can't get off the field on third down. Michigan runs it down their throat. The defense wears down, similar to the way it did against Penn State, where the offense does a 3-and-out, and then Michigan may only get 3 points, but they just ran 6 minutes off the clock. Iowa is not built to this. This might be breaking news, but Iowa is not built to come from behind. So if Iowa is like down 14 and they're getting into these third and longs with Deacon Hill throwing, I think it could get ugly if he starts throwing interceptions and things like that, taking risks to get back into the game. But I think if Iowa can keep it close early, maybe they can, just try to gross the game up as much as possible. I think that's their best chance, is like just keeping it close early, hoping for some breaks, flipping the field, pinning Michigan deep and making them having to drive 90 yards, that type of stuff. Um, it's going to be a hard game for the offense. Michigan, like I said, Michigan's out two of their best offensive linemen, so I'm wondering how that'll impact the Michigan run game. Um, you got to keep them out of like those 3rd and 3 type situations.
So for this game, for me, if I'm Iowa, I'm saying let McCarthy beat me through the air. He hasn't been really asked to do much the last like 3 or 4 weeks, basically the whole season. I mean, I know he has the talent to do it, but he hasn't done it in a long time. I just would hate for Corum and was Donovan Edwards. Those are 2 guys. I would just hate for those guys both to have 100 yards and like 2 touchdowns and lose that way. Like, make someone else do it, not those
JJ
guys.
McCarthy went a calendar month without throwing a touchdown pass. And there's people like Brady Ellingson who think that he was a Heisman contender. Like, dude, me and you could have gone out there and played quarterback, and Michigan probably has the same record. No, not the same record. They'd have 11 wins. Like that Penn State second half, he didn't throw the ball once. He handed it off every single play, and it didn't matter. So that's kind of my fear, is like, if that's all Michigan wants to do, like that's still a lot to ask, because Penn State can't stop it. And we saw what happened when Iowa played Penn State. Yeah.
Not good. Not good. Some breaking news from earlier today. Did you see Penn State? They just signed Kansas's OC to be their
Seems
new
like
OC.
a good hire.
Yeah. Don't know much about it, but I do know that Kansas had a really explosive offense this year. They had a couple really good QBs that could air it out. So I think that's good for Aller. I'm not to say that he was going to transfer or anything, but it's kind of good to have someone who we can build a relationship with right away, and not have to worry about that.
The transfer portal kicks off for non-grad transfers starting December 4th. Anyone who's entering the portal now is either a grad transfer, or they're saying like intending to enter the portal, meaning they haven't officially yet. There has been some big names, a lot of quarterbacks. Riley Leonard sounds like he's going to come back to school and he's going to transfer. Notre Dame is the expected landing spot. DJU is at Oregon State. He had an improved season, and obviously Oregon State is no longer in a Power 5 next year. So I'm curious where he'll transfer to. He's been on the East Coast. He's been on the West Coast. Sounds like geography is not a problem for him. So probably just whoever throws him the most money. And then Cam Ward, Washington State's quarterback that I said was pretty damn good. They said he's got $5 million+ offers. So we'll probably see him in either like an Oregon type school or maybe in the SEC.
Yeah, because we have to think like what major schools are replacing QBs, and it's Oregon.
Yeah.
Penix is a senior, correct? Is he done?
Yep.
There's also like other schools who maybe you just want to upgrade, like Ohio State.
I can't imagine Kyle McCord is their starter going into next year. I mean, technically, we don't know. There's a lot of teams that are going to have a new quarterback, but it depends how much they trust the guys they already have in the room. Like we saw Bama didn't really trust Milroe, so they went out and they got that kid from Notre Dame last year. Obviously, that kid never saw the field, but like they wouldn't have done that if they had a Bryce Young that was coming back or that was awaiting in the wings. So like we don't know what Michigan has next year. It's kind of like what Georgia was with Carson Beck. We know he's a good recruit, but we haven't seen him play football. So
yeah. Yeah. So I guess going back into the games here, I did want to mention the New Mexico State Liberty game. I'm sure, I mean, most people probably haven't watched either of these teams much, but Liberty's undefeated. They beat New Mexico State 33-17 back on September 9th, the second week of the year. New Mexico State, on the other hand, they're 10-3. So they've had a couple losses. They lost at Hawaii, which I
They
mean, I
also
think
lost to UMass.
yeah, at
Can
UMass
you
week
explain to me
one.
how they're 10-3 before their conference title game? They played 13 games.
That's a lot. Yeah, I don't
They had to
know.
be the only team in the country who's played 13 regular season games.
Well, that they're on a win of 8 right now, and so they're 10.5 point underdogs against Liberty. That seems like a lot. They just won at Auburn, and Auburn almost just beat Bama. I know it's a rivalry game for Bama Auburn, but ten and
I
a
know.
half, that seems like a lot.
I agree. Liberty is pretty damn good though. I mean, they're 12-0. If Liberty wins this, they're playing in a New Year's Six bowl. So, um,
Is that true? I think it could be Tulane instead of them.
yeah. I guess they would have to pick between the higher ranked team. So both
Yeah, so
teams have an incentive to get some style points. They're currently ranked 22 and 24.
that's
Um,
interesting because they're playing SMU. Tulane is a 3.5 point underdog at home, or excuse me, I guess it's neutral
favorite.
site. But
Aren't they a favorite?
SMU's Tulane's 3.5 point favorite. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. They're the favorite. SMU's ranked 25th. So if Tulane loses and so does Liberty, SMU just finds their way into a New Year's Six bowl. I haven't watched any SMU this whole year. That'd be crazy for them to sneak in.
Yeah, they're in the top. They're in the AP poll. They're not in the college football playoff ranking, but they're 24 in the coaches poll.
Gotcha. Okay.
SMU, I think they lost their starting quarterback, so that'll be interesting. But um, yeah, I mean, it seems like decently evenly matched game. And like I said, it's only a 2 point spread. So
One of the funniest things about bowl season is like there's always a really, really good team that just misses out on the playoff, and then uh they're forced to play like one of these like non-power 5 teams. And I think it's the Fiesta Bowl this year. So I thought it was going to be Ohio State, which I think would be funny, but right now they have the loser of Washington Oregon against Tulane in the Fiesta Bowl. Oregon would destroy Tulane. That
oh
would
my
not even be
god,
close. But
remember
Bo Nix
when?
probably won't play, but
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Is a lot of these bowls. This is what's gonna happen. Is Iowa's gonna lose to Michigan like 30-6 or something. Let's say, and then they're gonna go play. Um, we'll say I'm trying to think of what team has a good like they'll play like LSU, but Jaden Daniels won't play or something like
yeah.
that. Like they're gonna find a way, like the same way they got to play Kentucky last year without Will Levis and their
I
like
think
other best defensive player.
I'm pretty sure they're pretty much locked into playing Ole Miss.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah.
I don't think Ole Miss is
So
great. I think that's actually a winnable game.
I don't know if Jackson Dart's going to play in that game. I would
Yeah,
assume
he's
so.
not 100% healthy, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, "Why the hell am I playing in this?"
Yeah.
Um, we'll see. I don't. Their backup quarterback is that old Oklahoma State quarterback, something Sanders, Spencer Sanders, maybe.
Oh, interesting. Why did he? That's
Dude,
so
he went there to
weird.
be like third string. It was weird, and he was like a fifth year guy. So I have no idea. Um,
That's weird.
yeah, we didn't talk about.
Other notable names in this transfer portal: Spencer Petras, former Iowa
Yep,
QB.
yep.
He'll
Where should we
probably
predict he goes? Should we start like a contest? If someone predicts it, we'll send them a free Deacon Hill merch hat.
no. I was just about to say you beat me on
They're
the
only
Deacon Hill joke.
$34 if you want a Deacon Hill DH hat, by the way.
I heard all of Deacon's stuff. It's like size large is really like quadruple X. He's like, what? I just thought everyone was this normal size. But yeah,
Uh,
no, I was gonna say, where was Deacon Hill? Fordham
or he was gonna go to
or what?
Fordham, yeah.
Yeah, he can probably pull some strings, and Spencer Petras can probably go play
That's a good
there.
spot.
That'd be good.
I feel like he's
So,
gonna end up at like some super small school in California. Like I'm trying to think of who that would even be.
UCSB.
Yeah, maybe Pepperdine. I don't. Do they have a football team?
No, UCSB does, which another Deacon Hill connection. That's where he grew up. So
Oh, yeah, perfect.
probably in the cards.
Um, Dante Moore. We said last week when we were talking about Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
We mentioned that we thought Dante Moore would be in the portal. He did enter the portal, so he was he took his 1 year. He got his bag, and he's doing a Quinn Ewers. He got paid, and he's going where he actually wants to go now. So we'll see if he goes back to Oregon. Oregon is where he was originally committed to and flipped on signing day and caused the big fuss. It's crazy. That was only like 9 months ago, but yeah, he's a free agent now.
Well, they were saying, or I guess he's been publicly saying that he's not necessarily interested in starting right away. He wants to go the best place for him to like make the NFL, which I think makes sense. Like he got his money right now. He's good to go. So now he's gonna still get good money, but his eyes are kind of set on the future. So
Yeah,
I
is there
think
anything
that's
better
good
than
for any
being
program.
a 20-year-old college kid making like $2 million and you're not even the starter?
Dude, you don't even have to be making that much money to have it good in college. Andrew Fleming had just a Jeep and was the supposedly coolest guy on campus. So,
Shout out Lipscomb.
yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about college football wise?
Um,
The only other game I guess is Texas Oklahoma State.
yeah,
I
that's
think
a
Texas.
15 and a half. It went from like 13 and a half to 14 and a half. Now it's 15 and a half. I'm staying away from
Yeah,
that. I just think Texas wins and we worry about how everything else shakes out.
yeah. One scenario I do want to bring up would be who do you think would be ranked ahead? So right now, here's the top eight. These are the only teams that have a chance. Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Washington 3, Florida State 4, and then it gets interesting. Oregon 5, Ohio State 6, Texas 7, Bama 8. So if Bama wins, there's no way that they're not in, right? Or would they take Texas over Bama? Could Bama end up being
If
the
Bama
5?
gets in, Texas has to get in. They're like a package deal in that way, assuming both win. Um, yeah, it'll get interesting if Washington, if the top four teams or Michigan, Washington, Florida State win, and then Georgia loses to Alabama, then you have a one loss Ohio State, a one loss Texas, a one loss Alabama, and a one loss Georgia, and you can pick one.
With Ohio State and Georgia, their one loss is being teams in the playoff. I guess same with Washington too.
Yeah, and they're 1-1 against them.
Yeah, yeah,
And
they've already beaten them.
and if you're
But
Georgia, it's like how do you keep Georgia out for one? I mean, it depends how they lose too. Like if it's 20 points, that's different than a close game. But
yeah, if it's a game-winning field goal, Georgia has to be in. And I know there's been a lot of debate this week. Can an undefeated team miss it? Yes, please. If Florida State wins like 9-6 or something, get them the hell out of here. No one wants them. No one wants to see Rodemaker play. Do you know that guy was actually a top recruit?
I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he. I'll pull his thing up here. I'll pull his ranking up in a second. Rodemaker 247. So he threw for 6,800 yards and 74 touchdowns in high school. He was a top. I guess he was the 88th prospect. I didn't think he was that high. I thought he was just a nobody. So clearly they have faith in him, but I don't. I don't
Yeah,
know.
dude, we really need Louisville in to win because even if Florida State loses, it could still be really messy trying to decide that top four.
Yeah,
So at least if you can get Florida State out, you can make it a little better by knowing that you get at
yeah,
least an Oregon or a Texas or a Bama in there.
yeah.
Um, but man, I in my head, there's Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, and Bama, and those 6 are the 6 best teams. And I would love to see a 16 playoff. Maybe give the first 2 seeds a bye, and then the other 4 play each other with seeding or something. But um, someone's gonna get left out and have a case for being pissed, almost guaranteed.
And it could be 2 teams if Florida State gets in.
Yeah,
So,
basically. Bama's gonna
do,
possibly have 1 loss this year and have beaten Georgia, and will probably get left out, or Oregon gets left out because if Bama gets in, Texas has to get in. Texas has more ranked wins. They have the
that
best win of any team in that conversation on the road, and they won their conference. And their 1 loss was by 1 possession in the final minute of a rivalry game, a neutral site, who is also ranked in the top 10.
does the committee respect that though? Because they have Ohio State above them.
That's what I'm saying. But then because then Ohio State's argument is Michigan is undefeated. They're number 1 in that case if Bama wins, and our 1 loss is on the road at the number 1 team where we had the ball in the last minute down 6 at
Yeah.
midfield. Like, I don't know. That game
Ohio
we
State,
never really talked about that game because we obviously didn't do
yeah,
a pod on Tuesday.
yeah.
Ohio State threw that pick early, McCord, but after that point, they kind of felt like they outplayed Michigan a little bit. Obviously, they missed a field goal too that would have changed the entire dynamic of that last drive. You would have needed 3 instead of needing a touchdown. You play that totally different. Um, man, Michigan deserved it. I'm not taking anything away from them, but if you came away from that game thinking that these 2 teams are very far off, like, I think you're kind of crazy.
If that game, that Ohio State Michigan game, was a national title, everyone would have been happy. It was a good competitive game,
Yeah,
one of the most watched games of the year, all that good stuff. So yeah, I do feel bad for Ohio State. But do you know, with the new Big Ten conference, are Ohio State and Michigan going to keep playing
I
the
think
last
so.
week
Oh,
of the
I
year?
don't know about that. I was wondering that
Because
too.
what if Ohio State lost to Michigan in the end of September, and then they just pounded everyone up until then? I feel like they wouldn't. Would they be 6? Would they be 5? I don't know. It's the timing of losses.
It does
You just,
matter. Yeah.
I guess that's just how it goes.
It
I
definitely
guess.
does matter because if Oregon lost to Washington last week, we would be saying a totally different story about Oregon.
Yep. 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 I totally agree. Well, yeah, we could sit here and talk scenarios all day. Let's just let it play out.
And then we can come on
We
here
can
and
do.
bitch right after. We'll do a
Yeah,
live
exactly.
pod, right? Like during the selection show, and we'll just roast it.
Is the selection show Sunday or Monday?
Probably
Look
Sunday.
it up. CFP selection show. We should do we should get together Sunday morning or late Saturday night and do like a quick 5-10 minute pod that we can stitch with like our next pod, and it'll just be like us with our predictions to see how that plays out. It is it's at
Noon on Sunday.
noon Eastern on Sunday. Yeah.
That's smart, right before NFL kickoff.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of NFL, I don't know. It's not that exciting of a weekend. It's really just the Niners Eagles is your game.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we got the Cowboys and Seahawks playing. I think the Cowboys end up dominating this game.
I
So
actually took the Seahawks plus 9.5. Call
oh,
me a
really,
psycho. I know Kenneth Walker is
what?
out. I know there's almost
Yeah,
nothing on paper that says I should do this, but I don't know. The Cowboys in prime time, something about it just doesn't feel right. Dak's getting too
can
much love. He's due for his normal regression.
Dak is a top 5 QB in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he's probably
Pretty
he's probably top
undisputed.
4,
Yeah,
especially with Burrow
depends
out.
where you have Purdy. Yeah, it's true. All right. Let's run through the games here. So we talked Seahawks, Cowboys, Chargers, Patriots. I almost had this on the six pack. I have this in teasers. The Chargers are anywhere between -5 and -6. It never feels good to bet the Chargers, but the Patriots suck.
Mm-hmm.
Bailey Zappi will be starting. I want to sincerely apologize to the listeners for betting the Patriots win total over. That was the on our.
Did you
We're
already
gonna
add
have
that as a loss to our tally? Because we might as well bank it. They'd have to win
no.
out.
I was just gonna say I don't want to give away. I'll give away one award, but Slade and I are gonna do a podcast dedicated to like our. It's gonna be like our award show, and that is the worst bet of the year. The Patriots season over, so I'll take that one. But
A little teaser there. Yeah,
yeah,
speaking of teaser, I am gonna tease this down as well because if I can get Chargers at +1, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I mean,
if the Chargers don't win this game, Staley's
if
fired
the Chargers
right
don't win
away.
this game, then I don't really care because I'm so sick of this Chargers nonsense from the beginning of the year. I can basically eliminate them from the playoffs with that. So it's another win-win for
Yeah.
me. It's another emotional hedge, and it feels like a free teaser leg.
I just care about the Chargers Bills game on I think it's Christmas Eve. Let me double check here. Because that is going to be like the ultimate like win or go home. Oh, it's on the 23rd. It's on the 23rd. So which is what is that? What is December 23rd? December 23rd. Okay, it's Saturday night. So it's a standalone Saturday night game. Loser of that is probably eliminated or is eliminated. Winner of that has like a small chance to make the wild card. So that's just like the epitome of Chargers Bills football right
Yeah, I
there.
also want to say us fading the Falcons did not work.
No, it didn't. So that's on me.
The Saints
Guess
suck,
what?
dude.
Guess what?
That whole division
Ritter wasn't
sucks.
Ritter wasn't good either. It was exactly what we wanted. However, we failed to realize Derek Carr is horrible. I will
Yeah, I
never
don't
bet
think
on
we were
Derek
wrong about the
Carr. He's on
Falcons.
the
I
way.
think we just didn't look at the Saints closely enough.
Yeah, it was. I didn't look at the schedule, and basically, no matter what, I was going to
Yeah,
do. Like, if it was the Panthers, I probably still would have bet the Panthers too. But
the Eagle
that's
or the Falcons are a 2-point favorite against the Jets, and I honestly I think I have to stay away from it because I just don't trust the Jets either. The NFL is so bad at quarterback right now. It doesn't matter.
yeah, it's pretty sad.
Do the
It's pretty
Lions
sad.
bounce back though? I think they have to.
Yeah, I'll be betting the Lions. They have to. Otherwise, they're complete frauds too.
Yeah, that'd be a bad loss for
Is
them.
there any other game you want to marry up with that Chargers Patriots for a teaser? We have Chiefs on Sunday Night Football at the Packers. They're around -5.5, -6. You could get that down to money line.
If we're doing 6.5 points, I mean, yeah, you can get Chiefs money line, which I don't hate, but I also don't hate betting the Colts either. If you can get the Colts at what +5.5.
Yeah,
I wish that were like Titans -1, and then you could get them at plus a touchdown. But I don't know. I just I just think the Titans suck, and the Colts are like a mini version of the Steelers this year, where like they just find ways to win really gross, unimpressive games. So if you're looking for a team that's like in a dogfight, you think I kind of tend to side with the Steelers and the Colts in those games. I'm not saying
yeah.
I'm taking the Steelers over the Cardinals, but I just think I just trust the Colts for some reason. They might be the worst
So
6-5 team I've ever seen.
Jonathan Taylor for them is out for the next 3 weeks. He had to have a procedure done on his thumb. Yeah, I don't know. I never feel good betting Gardner
The
Minshew,
board
but
is
they keep
tough
getting
this
it
week,
done.
man. Like
It
the
is.
Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites against the Commanders. Like that's not a
Seems like a lot.
yeah. That's
Tyreek Hill is banged up
the
too.
Chiefs as 6-point favorites at Lambeau at night. Dude, you do not bet against the Packers at night at Lambeau. They're gonna get at least 2 or 3 stupid calls where the whole country is going to tweet that stupid meme of the ref doing the Lambeau leap because that place is a joke to play at. It is honestly, and I'm not just saying this as a Bears fan, like you can ask anybody in the NFC North, you can ask a Vikings fan, a Lions fan, anyone who's played a night game there just knows you're going to get screwed and their fan base is going to act like it didn't happen.
Yep.
So that's just my 2 cents.
Are the Bears on bye this week?
Yes.
Wow.
They gave America a treat on Monday Night Football. They whooped some ass against the Vikings. They cover the
Shout out
spread.
Brisker, baby.
Brisker had a
go.
sack and a interception. Like, dude, he is a playmaker, and he got hurt. The trifecta.
Yeah, we should write into FanDuel and see if they'll post the Bet GPT trifecta, and it's just that Brisker stat
Plus
line.
1,500. Honestly, I would do Brisker to have an on-field timeout for a Brisker injury is probably like minus 110 per game.
We'd need Dr. Chow at Pro Football Doc to be the judge of that. Is he hurt or injured?
He goes, I think he's got a bruise. He's always
so we got
the next drive. So it's like LeBron when he rolls his ankle. You know he's coming back.
Let's get some fluids in him. He'll be fine. What's up with six teams on bye this week, but only 2 next week? I don't know why it's always like this, but
yeah, I don't know.
Ravens, Bills, Bears, Raiders, Vikings, Giants, and then next week, the final week of the byes is Cardinals and Commanders. Have you been seeing all the stuff about the Panthers, about how it's like no one actually wanted Bryce Young other than the owner? And then so now they're like clearing house. Like Josh McCown's gone because he likes CJ Stroud, and same with a couple other guys on the staff. It's just not a good look for the Panthers.
No, dude, that place is a dumpster fire. I walk by their stadium every day and I'm like, you guys are a bunch of fucking idiots. Tepper is ruining that franchise.
I was listening to your favorite podcast, the Deep Dive podcast, on my commute home earlier this morning, and they were talking about how like the Texans are pretty dysfunctional, and they've just got lucky like with QB play. Like Watson played really well for them, and they won a couple divisions and made the playoffs, and like they were beating the Chiefs like 20-0 in that was game awesome in the playoffs. But now it's like they basically found a generational talent in CJ Stroud. And like, did they luck into that? Maybe, but like their drafting hasn't been great. Derek Stingley getting picked before Sauce Gardner. You have a nobody compared to a 2-time All-Pro. You trade up for Will Anderson, who he's fine.
Yeah, it's not his fault. That was a horrible value trade. Did you? Yeah. And Tepper made a public comment saying that they were considering trading with they assumed they were going to trade with the Texans and just get Stroud, and they were like comfortable with that. So and like they thought that the Texans would want to take Bryce Young if they made a deal with the Bears. So basically, the Texans and the Panthers had no idea which quarterback was better, and whoever got Stroud was going to get lucky.
Yeah. Yep. And the Texans weren't even really convinced that they were going to take a QB at 3. They could have just gone with a positional player. Because like, if you think about it, at the beginning of this year, it seemed like they were fine with Davis Mills as their starting QB, and then he got hurt, and then Stroud played, which is just crazy. But anyway, on the Deep Dive podcast, they mentioned that they are hearing that the Houston Texans owner, his wife, who is like big into football, like she knows what she's doing, obviously, she wanted CJ Stroud, so they're like, all right, you can just do it. So basically she saved their franchise. It wasn't anyone, it wasn't their GM, it wasn't any of their, talent evaluators. It was the owner's wife.
She knows ball.
So
we need to get her on the pod. She could probably give us some QB rankings for 2024 draft.
That'd be hilarious. And she was also the same person who said Trey Lance is going to be a bust. So
oof.
Just kidding. I don't know if that's true. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff I just wanted to bring up. Thought that was interesting. All right. I don't know. I don't really care to talk about the NFL other than that. I feel like we'd just be BSing. So
Should we just talk about how Otani isn't a Cub yet? Keyword yet.
yeah, let's talk baseball.
Uh,
When are these moves going to be made?
Next week.
When is so he's the first domino, obviously.
Yeah, the first big domino. Sonny Gray signed with the Cardinals. So I think yeah, that was last week. We were talking about how their two signings, we clowned them for what was it, Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, and we said that it only makes sense if there's
Yeah,
something else coming, and the something else did come. Sonny Gray is 34, and they gave him $75 million. So um, it's an aggressive move. I don't know if it necessarily is a smart move. We'll see. Um, you're asking a 34-year-old to keep pitching at his career peak for multiple seasons, and I don't know. It's still a lot of money, man. $25 million a year for 3 years. He's going to be 37, making 25 million. It's super backloaded too. So
he's that
yeah.
old.
So on that third year of that contract, he's actually going to be making way over 25 because they're just not paying him that much in year 1 and 2. So
Yeah,
they're kind of in a weird way putting their chips in the short term. Um, Maybe they think they can flip him in a year and a half if things go south, but um, he'd have to pitch really damn well for you to actually get anything back in value. Um,
yeah.
there's just been a lot of rumor mill stuff like Otani or not. Otani is still like the Cubs, Giants, Dodgers, with the Dodgers as the favorite. Soto is still linked to the Yankees. It sounds like Bellinger is still linked to the Yankees, but his market's down a little bit based off of his contact, um, his exit velocity, and things like that. There's some concerns there. Um, I don't.
Did you see that? Did you see? Not to interrupt you. Did you see the Blue Jays are in on Otani now?
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if I buy it.
Dude. No offense to Canada. I have no problems with Canada. No one wants Otani playing in Toronto, going from the LA Angels to Toronto. That's how you become a nobody. Do not
I
do that,
completely agree. And it's
please.
not even like their roster. Like they have Bo Bichette, who was rumored to the Cubs. That's kind of cool. But then there's still Vladdy. Like they have some good players, but yeah, no one wants to watch him in Canada because they're probably still not going to be better than the Yankees or the Orioles or maybe even the Red Sox. Like, I don't know. Like, I think some people are like, well, he's only lived in America for so long. Like, would he really find Canada like that much of like an adjustment? Maybe not. I don't know, man. Just Toronto wouldn't be for me personally, but people seem to like it.
No.
Um,
Yeah, our friend Nicholas lived in Toronto, and after he came back, he was a changed man. He was eating maple syrup with every single
yeah,
meal. It was
he
it was
he
crazy.
loved biscuits and uh, uh, a lot of. He had a new perspective on life for sure.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm just ready for this kind of to get started to
Yeah,
see what moves the Cubs make. I know they still need a third baseman. It just seems like every day or two the Cubs are linked to a new person, whether it's true or not. There was the Bo Bichette, the Glass now, which is kind of heating up a little bit, I think.
Bregman for a
Shane
minute.
Bieber, Bregman, yeah.
I think
So,
Glass now is going to
one of
happen.
these
That's my prediction. I'll put it on the
one of
pod.
these things is going to happen.
I think Glass now is going to happen.
If they don't get Glass now, who do you think could steal him? The Reds, because I know the Reds they were in on Sonny Gray too, weren't they?
If it's not the Cubs, I mean, I know they're the only other team I've really heard linked to him,
Yeah,
but I mean, I don't think they would trade him within the AL East. I don't think you would see the Red Sox or the like Padres or anyone like that. The Rangers probably not. Maybe the Giants. I would say the Giants are probably the other team I would think is a possibility. They have the money and they have a desperation level that's it would allow them to make stupid choices. Because I don't think they're competing next year unless they get an Otani and a Glass now and they go all in Padres style. And we know how that worked for San Diego.
yeah. So I'm looking up there's this website called Baseball Trade Values, and it ranks players for each team um, in terms of their trade value. This has when you can like vote on it. Like this has a trade that says Matt Shaw from the Cubs to get Glass now straight up. Would you
Fuck
do that?
no.
Yeah, but this has a bunch of thumbs down on that.
I mean, that's a fun game to play,
But
but no, I'm
basically,
not trading our
yeah,
first round pick from 3 months ago who just killed it in his short debut for a 1 year rental at
yeah.
$25 million, and the guy he's always hurt. He's great. He just needs to stay
The the,
healthy.
re- the reason I brought that up is because Jonathan India is kind of like the Reds' top trade piece, I guess. But they are losing a little bit of value on him because they don't need to play him. Like they just have so many young guys they have to get involved, and they actually rank. I'm not even sure how this is possible. This article is saying on Sports Illustrated, so it's probably written by AI.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
probably how you know it's wrong. But it says that Jonathan India is the 27th most valuable in terms of trade value in the Reds org.
I believe it.
That seems
I think he
crazy.
stinks. I think
27?
he stinks, dude. He has a career WAR of
Really?
5. I know he won Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's played 119 games this year, 109 the year before. I don't know. I don't see it. He doesn't get on base. He doesn't slug. He plays second base, which isn't like an elite position, defensive value position. I don't know. I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's someone I'd be giving up assets for. I'd probably trade like
Yeah.
a AAA reliever for him and be good with that. Like you said, he's not even an
Who did
everyday
he
player
beat out?
for the Reds. Like, why would I give up real assets for him?
Dude, I think the NL Rookie of the Year, him winning that, has basically duped me and made his value rise because here's the voting. Number 2, Trevor Rogers, pitcher. He went 7-8 that year. He did 2.64 ERA though. Third, Dylan
Oh
Carlson
my god, I just
for the
pulled it up.
Cardinals. Fourth, Patrick Wisdom. Ian Anderson. Frank Schwindel was 6. Are you
Yeah, that's what I'm
serious?
saying, dude. He had one good year and he won it. Dude, he had a 4 WAR that year, and in the years since he has a combined 1.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know, man.
unbelievable.
He doesn't stay healthy really either. Yeah, it's crazy how one class to the next, just the talent difference is crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Meanwhile,
the last few years.
Meanwhile, on the AL side, it's Randy Arozareno, Luis Garcia, Wander Franco, which canceled, Adolis Garcia, Manuel Clase, Ryan Mountcastle, Shane McClanahan, Alec Manoa. Like that's just stacked.
Yeah, like last year for the AL Rookie of the Year, you had Julio Rodriguez, Adley Rutschman, Bobby Witt Jr., and George Kirby, Jeremy Pena. And then in the NL, you had Spencer Strider, Michael Harris. Like, these guys are like actually good.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Sorry, Jonathan India. I didn't mean to turn this into like a 5-minute roast of Jonathan India, but here we are. You want to talk a little NBA for 5 minutes?
Yeah, Jokic or Embiid are going to win the MVP. Next.
I want to hear about your Bulls first quarter
Oh yeah,
full game strategy.
I've been betting the Bulls to lose the first quarter and the first quarter spread, basically every single game this year. I think I'm like 9-2 doing that. They are fucking horrible in the first quarter. They don't just lose the first quarter; they get demolished in the first quarter. Like there was one game I like didn't do. I think it was the Celtics because I was like 5 points is a lot for the spread in the first quarter. They lost that quarter by 11. It didn't matter. Um, but also, what's funny is they always seem to close the game by beating the live or the live spread. So like they'll get down 20,
Yeah.
and then you bet them to like keep it close, and they like will lose by like 4. So it's like they finish the game, like the next 3 quarters they outscore their opponent by like 15, but they lose. And then they had a game recently where they won the first quarter, got up 21 points, and then lost by like 14. It's insane.
Basically, if the Bulls game is 20 points
Take the
one
other
way,
team.
just bet the
Yeah.
other side.
Live bet the other
End up
team.
being tied. Yeah.
Alex Caruso, he deserves better. He needs to get traded to a contender. Take your first round pick and whatever else and like save him. He deserves so much better than this.
Yeah. Bulls in there at 5-14.
At this point, you might as well go into tank mode because the only team that's clearly worse is the Pistons.
Yeah, Pistons are 2-16. Wow, the Spurs are 3-14. I did not realize they were that bad. That's sad.
Yeah,
That's
they have
sad.
to have lost a lot lately because they were not that bad until
they've lost 12 in a row. They were 3-2.
I was gonna say I thought they started
Wemby
okay.
mania. They start 3-2. Bill Simmons is like, the Spurs are the best ticket in town. Well, they've lost 12 in a row.
Did you hear that he went to a game to watch like Wemby or something? He didn't play against like the Clippers.
He didn't play well.
He didn't
that
play
was the
well.
issue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he played. It didn't play well that game. Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, also, can we talk about Popovich? I know this happened like 2 weeks ago. Popovich taking the mic and telling the fans to not boo Kawhi. People were like saying how based he was and how like awesome that was. If you think that's awesome, you're probably a loser. If you think Pop telling the crowd to stop booing Kawhi Leonard is cool, you need to reevaluate why you watch sports.
The second I saw the tweet, I was like, all right, let me watch this.
It's as bad as
like. When I saw Popovich pick up the mic, my first thought was he needs to retire from the game of basketball. Thank you for your service. Go write a book. We do not ever want to see you. How did they let
him take
Stay
the
away.
mic?
Stay away.
How was he allowed to take the PA announcer's mic during a game? That's like having a head coach go up to an official and be like, "Give me your headset so I can talk to the crowd." That is absurd. And people just act like Pop can do whatever he wants. What has Pop done in the last decade? Since Kawhi and Duncan and all those guys are gone, he hasn't even had like a winning season.
He's been coaching Team USA.
Are they even doing? Did they do well?
I guess. He went, all right, so they went 48-34 in 2018. Since then, 32-39, 33-39, 34-48, 22-60, now 3-14. So, yeah.
Happy that Wemby landed in such an awesome spot with Pop and San Antonio. What a great combo.
People are going to be saying the same thing when it's Caleb Williams and Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Remember when everyone was talking about like Caleb Williams might not want to go to the Bears, like they're such a dumpster fire? It only took like 2 months and no one talks about that anymore, and it's the stupidest idea ever. For multiple reasons. One, he hasn't played well enough to have that kind of talk happen anymore. And two, the Bears aren't that dysfunctional anymore. And it's pretty clear that we're going to have a new coach. And there's rumors of Harbaugh.
Did you hear that there were scouts at the Ohio State-Michigan game who their one takeaway from the game was Marvin Harrison is by far and away the best player in the draft, and that guy can legitimately change your franchise.
I believe it, because that's who I would take out number 1 overall. I think you so. As of today, that's what I'm feeling.
QB? Dude, he's 6'4", 205 pounds, and he's that fast running a 4.4. You should not be that big.
Think about how much Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson changed their teams. Tyreek Hill with the Dolphins. Like, those 3 dudes have changed franchises. And if Marvin Harrison Jr. can do that for me on a rookie deal, even if Fields doesn't work out, we know that his floor is not a bottom 10 quarterback. Whatever his ceiling is, we'll see. It's probably not top 5 either. But if you're a free agent quarterback or someone in a trade or whatever, or a rookie, like, people are going to beg to play with Marvin Harrison Jr., DJ Moore, Cole Kmet as their three best options. Like that would be like one of the best combinations out there with like the Dolphins and the Bengals and all of them.
Yep.
So
You brought up Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase is 6 foot. Justin Jefferson is 6'1". Marvin Harrison Jr. 6'4".
yeah, that's crazy.
Good luck
That's like
tackling
Calvin
him.
Johnson.
Good luck tackling him. Yeah,
Speaking of
hello to Calvin
Harbaugh and
Johnson.
possibly being the Bears coach next year, um,
Yes.
I honestly think Harbaugh being back on the sidelines this is my hot take. I think it's actually to Iowa's advantage. And before you get mad, it's not a
Just
slight to
because.
Harbaugh. It's for this. They've been getting off on this whole free Harbaugh thing, like us against the world. A small edge that you have of like being pissed off. You just beat Ohio State and now Harbaugh is on the sidelines again. It's a little different. I mean, Harbaugh was already there in practice anyway, so I don't think they were really missing a ton on game day. But people forget Sharon Moore, the interim, he chose to go for it on fourth down 3 times. Guess how many times they succeeded on those fourth downs? 3 times. Harbaugh couldn't have done better than that. So that guy's the play caller. That he doesn't call plays on either side of the ball. The high level decision making, Sharon Moore nailed them. And Harbaugh's still there all week in practice. And now you have a team that's maybe a little less fired up because they have their leader back. They're not holding up the 4 and wearing the shirts. I don't know.
Yeah. Sharon Moore, I think if Harbaugh ends up leaving, I think he
I think
locked
so
up the
too.
Michigan
It's
job.
the Ryan
So
Day type
good for him
situation.
for doing that.
The top coordinator replaced Urban, and I think the top coordinator will replace Harbaugh.
If so, like obviously everyone's talking about Ryan Day being a loser and a little baby. Um, I'd say maybe there's what a 10-15% chance he gets
No, I
fired. Do you
don't
think
think
it's
they have.
higher than
Because
that?
who are you going to bring in that's going to, one, be
That's
better, and two, who is going to take that job knowing that you have to go 12-0 or you're fired?
Jimbo Fisher would probably dumb enough to do it.
Yeah.
He'd get
But
fired
like
right
there's
away.
only so
But
many
no,
coaches that you would take over him. And if Harbaugh goes to the NFL, I mean, he's only lost to them what, is
what
it
I'm
3 times? Like he still won a few on the front end. Like it's not like he's like 0 for 5. We don't know what the sign stealing
who
impacted the last couple of
who
years. Ryan Day.
who is what
That's what
against
I was asking
Michigan?
you. I don't think he's 0 for
He's
1 and
1 and
3.
3.
Okay.
Yeah, and he won with Urban Meyer's guys. Just saying.
2 of those are
But
going to have that sign
what I want
stealing, taint on them.
that's fine, whatever. I just want to say I think it would be hilarious that everyone like makes fun of Ryan Day. He's not good, whatever. And then Iowa scoops him up to be a head coach.
Oh
I'd love
fuck yeah,
Ryan
dude!
Day in
He's still
Iowa
a
City.
top
That'd
10
be
coach,
amazing.
even if he isn't good enough for
Yeah,
Ohio State. He's good enough for everybody. I mean, Saban's only got how many years left? Like 2, 3.
three,
So like
two. I
two,
don't
3
know.
years from now, who are going to be the best coaches? It's like Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning. Like, are you really going to sit here and tell me Sarkisian is ahead of Ryan Day? I don't see it. He's like
No,
5 losses in his entire career at Ohio State. Like and all of them are to like either Georgia or Michigan.
yeah,
So
it's funny the expectations of these fan
yeah,
bases. I guess that's kind of what makes college football so great and why it's so polarizing. People
yeah,
love it, but
yeah. I mean, if put it this way, if Ohio State got into the playoff because things shook out in a weird way, people wouldn't be ecstatic to play them.
no, I totally agree. Totally agree. Okay. I thought this was a good pod. We were kind of all over the place at the end, but that's fun. I think this is kind of like a throwback episode because that's what it was like this summer, just talking
Mm-hmm.
MLB and random, futures and whatnot. So it's been fun, kind of breaking down football every week, but I am kind of looking forward to when football's over and we can kind of dive deep into just these random rabbit holes of stuff we
I
want to look
agree.
at.
Yeah.
So. Okay, cool. We appreciate everybody tuning in. We should be back with another episode next Tuesday, recapping, or maybe we'll do it Sunday, or I don't know. We're gonna have some sort of, maybe it'll be a shorter recap or something, but we'll give our analysis on the games, especially college football. But yeah, we just want to thank everyone for listening. Please tell your friends, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff with us. We're on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. But yeah, good luck with your bets this weekend. Bet responsibly, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.